And this is not one place I want to go and find out if it's true.
You do not?
No.
Usually you want to go.
I know, but see, that's why I think there's validity to it, because the place, when I look at it, scares me.
Ah, well, if it scares you, I'm not going anywhere near it, I'll tell you that.
You know, like why borrow trouble?
Yes.
Because I can hear walking.
Okay.
I can hear doors closing.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm thinking that they probably experienced TV coming on, making that buzz noise. I've seen all that, pictures hanging upside down, crosses going upside down. So, you know, I've seen all that kind of stuff happen in houses myself.
Do you get any of that happening here?
Yeah, I do. I'm getting it cheap. I know what's going on in here. I can handle it. But if you're sensitive at all, that energy is going to attach itself. And if you're scared and sensitive, it's really going to attach itself to you. And I'm not saying that the people who died in there would want to harm anyone. I think the fact that there was, call it evil in the house, because, you know, there's no proof yet and never will be whether he really intentionally killed his family or whether or not he did it because he felt the energy in the house.
Welcome to Seeing Dead People, the slow burn storytelling podcast where our host Nicola challenges her psychic friend Darcy to communicate with the dead and unravel historical ghost stories, unsolved true crime mysteries, and all things paranormal. If you want to be spooked, amazed, and entertained, stick around for an astonishing, deep dive convo with the spirits on the other side. So in our last episode, titled The Witching Hour Massacre, Nicola and Darcy examined and brought to light a number of new and intriguing elements involved in the horrific death of the DeFeo family. In this follow-up, companion episode, Seeing Dead People focuses its psychic twist on investigating the horrifying supernatural events which occurred just 13 months later at 112 Ocean Avenue, Long Island, New York. The Lutz family were haunted, terrified, and defeated during what we call the Amityville Horror, Part 2, 28 Days in Hell. Or were they? Oh, and as in our last episode, we apologize, but we were not able to show all the related photographs due to copyright issues. You don't have to in order to share our shivers. But if you want to see the pics along with us, just Google images for the Lutz family, Amityville Horror.
So, Darcy, welcome back. We are now going to continue our discussion on Seeing Dead People about the Amityville Horror. And we're going to call this episode 28 Days in Hell. So we're now a year and a bit after the murder of, there's your cat, hello cat. We're now a year and a bit after the murder of the DeFeo family. We're now a family called the Lutzes, and we have George and Kathy Lutz. They bravely purchased this house, 112 Ocean Avenue, the famous Amityville house with the classic, as you had mentioned, that looks like a face with the quarter windows, and it looks like Dutch colonial. It's a barn-like building. They bought it for a bargain price. Not surprising, because it's a house where a whole family was annihilated. And they moved in with their 3 children, who at the time were Daniel, 9, Christopher, 7, and Missy, 5. They knew about the house's gruesome history, but they thought it was an opportunity to own a house on the water, on the ocean. They couldn't, pass up. So let's talk about this whole kind of scenario. We're going to discuss this possession of 112 Ocean Avenue. We're going to meet the cast. So let's talk about our first photo, which is photo number 1. Pretty happy looking family. We only see 4. We're missing one of the boys, the younger boy, Chris. Have a look at that family and tell me what you think.
Okay, just one sec.
Yeah.
I'm sharing the counter with my cat.
I see.
Okay, they look, well, the wife doesn't look that happy. She looks like she might have a little bit of depression around her. Amazingly, the boy and the girl, Missy and Dan, is that right?
Yeah.
They have a striking resemblance to the two of the kids that died.
Well, it's interesting you say that. They certainly have the dark hair and the sort of similar face. So yeah, I'm not surprised you caught that, because you're really good with lining things up with photographs. But you think they have some resemblance, eh?
Yeah. So, and I haven't really read this one.
Okay.
I forgot we're doing two parts. So, did one of these two children complain about hearing voices, or was it the dad?
Well, this is the thing. A lot of stuff happened to this family, theoretically, in this house after they moved in. And I thought we would just discuss some of the things that happened and see what you thought of it. The first thing is they'd heard about the fact that the house had been a murder house, of course. And so they had a friend, they were Catholic, and they had a friend who was a priest, Catholic priest, and a friend. He blessed the house. They asked him to come in. And he had a weird experience, he says, during the blessing. Now, I can't give you a photograph of him, so I don't know how you can even imagine anything. But I mean, I'm trying to think to you, what sorts of things happened in this house, and whether they're in any way legitimate. So did the priest experience anything while he was doing his blessing?
Well, yeah, because if you're blessing a house that has energy in it, you think about it, 6 people were killed here. One person was probably a psychotic, and that energy is trapped inside of that house. So very likely, yes, he could have heard voices. He could have been hot and cold. He could have had symptoms after, because when you go to remove negativity from a house, it tends to attack.
Okay, well, what kind of attacks might have happened to him?
He could have been sick after the hot and cold, so he could have had that feeling that he walked through a cold spot or a really hot spot. He could be hearing voices. He could have that sensation, where the hair stands up all over your body, sort of thing. And I mean, he could have, I've seen people actually have physical things happen to their body when they've removed energy, or run into someone who's negative, or the energy of a negative person. So he could have had physical ailments, like actual see it.
Okay, well, he says as he was sprinkling holy water and reciting prayers, he heard a deep, malevolent voice commanding him to get out. I don't know whose voice that could be, but he says he had. He also says the claim is that he didn't tell the Lutzes about this, and I guess I probably wouldn't either.
Yeah.
You moved into a house with a family, and you're going to say, hey, I've just heard a voice tell me to get out, and I'm terrified. But so he didn't tell them. But he said he did have afterwards some ailments, as you described. He had a high fever, and he had blisters, which he relates to the fact that he was in this house, and it was negative. So that's got some legitimacy, I guess.
Yeah.
So the Lutzes are now living in this house. It's December, so it's cold. We're talking New York. They start experiencing some weird things. So let's talk about the things they're experiencing, and then you can, tell us more about whether they're even legitimate or you feel it was even possible. They talk about an oppressive atmosphere. Okay, a sense of unease everywhere. I'd like you to look at the two main senior individuals, the husband and wife, George and Kathy Lutz. If you look in photo number 2, you'll see the two of them together. Yeah. What sense do you have of these people?
Well, he looks very confident, very much knowing what he wants in life. She has those puppy dog eyes that make me feel that she holds a little sadness inside of her. Okay. I think they're very rooted in life. Okay. I'm not picking up, well, she might occasionally have bouts of depression, but I'm not feeling the same idea of manic depression. He strikes me because I'm sort of guessing here. He may be more Italian or Scottish, not Italian, Scottish or English heritage. So and he just strikes me as one of those people that I would associate as being a seer.
A seer?
Yeah, like what I do.
You think he
You
could have
can
been,
see,
you
feel.
think he was intuitive?
Yes.
Oh, is that anything to do with being Scottish or English?
Well, it's definitely a heritage there. But
Oh,
I would also tell you she may be. They may have more because they're so strong, maybe in the Catholic faith, that you think about it, that kind of energy, when you have that strength, to me, I don't care if you're Catholic, Anglican, Protestant, Jehovah, whatever, when you believe that strongly, you're allowing spirit into your life.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. Of course, we've got the Holy Spirit. We've got all kinds of spirit. Well, when you talk about them being intuitive or seers, how do you get a sense of that? Like, what is that? How does that come about to you?
It's like a little gold light around people.
Oh, I guess I don't have a little gold light around me.
Well, you could, but you're not open.
Okay. So George and Kathy have a gold light around them.
Yes.
Is George's brighter?
A little bit.
Okay.
It's more in his eyes, as though he can look into your soul, where her eyes are more, I'll look, but I don't want to look.
Oh, so she's hesitant.
Yes.
Okay. Well, George was particularly affected by drastic temperature changes in the house. It was winter, so it's going to be cold. The heating system's on full blast, but it couldn't keep him warm. Didn't matter what was happening. He had a fixation of needing heat. So he kept a fire raging and roaring in the fireplace all the time. And I think he spent much of his time in the room where the fire was to keep warm. Still, he felt cold. Is that a legitimate thing, you think?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That others wouldn't be feeling cold, that just George would be feeling cold?
Not everyone will feel the same energy, but yes, I do believe he felt it.
Okay, so the cold that George is feeling, from your perspective, is an energy level or an energy causing that in him.
Yeah, like 6 dead people in a house.
Got it. Okay. Now, he kept coming awake at the witching hour, 3:15 or so, which is when they were killed.
Yep.
I guess perhaps not surprising. I mean, I think maybe you might have that intuition, but do you think that's legitimate, that he would be affected in that way, that the energy would wake him up? I mean, really?
Oh, of course. At 3:20 this morning, when it woke me up, it's like, really, who's here? I don't need this. I got to go to work. So, yeah.
Some spirit, some energy woke you up? Does that regularly?
All the time.
All the time. Oh my God, what a way to, you don't get good sleep after. Do you go back to sleep? I hope.
Sometimes, not always.
Yeah, it's hard.
Today I didn't. Today I've been up all night.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And here we are, got you in the evening. Okay.
No, that's okay.
George felt he was uneasy about his house. He was uneasy about being safe in the house. And he would go out and patrol, and he would check the boathouse. He thought there was something wrong, but he never found anything per se, early on anyway. Then they had, and it's this, I have to say though, it kind of sounds a little bit like The Shining or something, the classic horror stories. They experienced all the stuff that Hollywood throws at us in a good horror movie. So they had the slime. Okay. They had slime and strange odors happening in the house.
Yeah.
Have you seriously believed there's green slime coming off walls?
I've never seen the green slime, so I'm open to the idea that maybe it was a bit of a hallucination.
Okay.
But smells, definitely.
And that, again, is that caused by the energies?
Yes.
This is how they manifest.
It's like I can smell Old Spice or English leather or zest, roses. So those all have a connection to me to someone who has passed. So they may be smelling the horror of what happened in the house. Now, just a curiosity, because we never covered this, but was the gun and the clothes hidden in the boathouse by any chance?
There's a good question. I can't tell you. I know they were hidden in a couple of different places, but whether it was a boathouse, I don't know. Sorry.
Okay.
You had a sense of that, do you?
Yeah, because when you said he was checking the boathouse, it made me think, quick, hide, hide, hide.
Quick, hide, hide, hide. So who's being instructed to hide?
Well, not him, but going back to Ron Jr.,
Yeah.
that's what I felt. Like
That
when you
makes
said
all sense.
boathouse, I was thinking him.
Okay. Oh, cool. All right. Well, now we get to another little event. They had swarms of flies, supposedly. Now, this is strange. I mean, we're in the winter. There are no flies really flying about in the wintertime. So that's a classic horror trope. You know, the old flies are everywhere. Buzz, buzz, buzz. They look scary. What do you think about that?
Hmm. Again, I haven't seen it. I haven't experienced, so I can't write it off. But normally, flies in that quantity would mean there's something dead.
Yeah. And there isn't anything dead. And there's energy, as you said, but there are no dead people. So we could possibly say that was maybe a little over the top.
It could be, but
Okay.
if he's got that heat running like he does the fireplace, he could have warmed something up that was dead.
All right. Do you foresee yourself anything else? There's many things that happen. And I'm just wondering if, for example,
Well,
if you
I'm sort of wondering if they could hear the walking, because I can hear walking.
okay,
I can
yeah,
hear doors closing.
yes,
Okay. So I'm thinking that they probably experienced TV coming on, making that buzz noise. I've seen all that, pictures hanging upside down, crosses going upside down. So, I've seen all that kind of stuff happen in houses
Do you get
myself.
any of that happening here
Yeah, I do.
in particular? Could you elaborate?
Well, I feel like if let's see, the bedroom's on the top floor because it looks like it's 2 stories.
Yeah.
I would definitely say they should be hearing footsteps down the hall, like as though someone's running, should hear voices as well. Maybe even some music, like that ballerina that's in that box, the jewelry box. I can hear that going on in my head. So there's a few things going on in this house.
There certainly are. The mother, Kathy, reports that she saw a demonic figure with red eyes staring at her and her children. George says he saw the same figure, and they all heard, as you said, footsteps and whispers throughout the house. So, what do you think about this demonic red-eyed creature? Is that a hallucination?
I don't want to rule it out because I've seen some weird things. But maybe because they were scared and didn't understand. And so with all this and the Catholic religion, that it would have been natural to see something like that.
Okay. Well, the youngest child, the little girl, who's only 5, she ended up seeing an imaginary friend, a very bizarre imaginary friend. Just wondering if you had any sense of that before I let you know what it is.
Okay. Okay, I'm at a loss here because I'm torn between saying it's an animal and a person.
Go with your first thought.
The animal, then. Some sort of animal.
She claims she saw a pig.
Oh, that's original.
Yeah, it is original. Now, little 5-year-olds have pretty good imaginations. So
Yeah.
she said it was a pig and it could change its shape, it could change its size, and that it was often looking at her and staring at her in her bedroom and watching her, outside watching in, inside watching out. Again, what do you think of she called this creature Jody? Do you think Missy's just being a little kid with an active imagination and freaked out by all that's going on with their parents in the house?
Probably freaked out about everything that's going on, and at 5, very susceptible to finding something that made sense.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I could see how maybe you probably would go into the house with an inclination that there could be issues, right? Because you know what's happened
Yep.
there. If you're saying these people, at least the parents, are a bit intuitive, you could have a sensitivity to this negative energy that's about, and maybe a few things happen, and of course you immediately apply them to the fact that it's a demon or there are entities in the house causing them. So things can escalate in that
Yes.
regard very quickly, and they do. And George, his behavior drastically changes. He becomes very irritable. He becomes quite aggressive. He's very snippy at his family over trivial things, and he wasn't like that. He doesn't pay attention to his business. He spends his time chopping wood and tending his fire. He also doesn't take care of himself. Physically, he's unkempt. Do you think that's legitimate? Do you think George is just going through a bit of a depression?
He did not strike me as a man who would go through depression. And I realize anyone can. Okay. I would say that the atmosphere inside of the house, I mean, you think about it, like 6 people died violently in this house. Even if they weren't awake to die, they still did. And that energy is there, even though we go into it saying, okay, I'm getting it cheap. I know what's going on in here. I can handle it. But if you're sensitive at all, that energy is going to attach itself. And if you're scared and sensitive, it's really going to attach itself to you. And I'm not saying that the people who died in there would want to harm anyone. I think the fact that there was, call it evil in the house, because there's no proof yet and never will be whether he really intentionally killed his family or whether or not he did it because he felt the energy in the house. Because there's no history about the house prior to this family that died in it.
Correct.
So, anything could have gone out, and the land itself could have had some sort of energy attached to it. So, yeah, I could see how when it begins to take a toll on you, you stop paying attention. So, yes, he could have gone through a bit of a depression, but I don't think he's normally the type of person who would go through that kind of depression.
Okay, well, check out image number 3. That's George himself. Do you believe this man is experiencing, negative energy and these unusual things happening in his house, or is he just BSing us?
Nope. You look at the picture number 2 and how he's open and he's smiling. And this one, his eyes look different and everything. Like he's wary, he's cautious, he's looking to see what's going on. Where the first one, it's like there is a difference in energy between the two of them.
Okay, I'm not sure. This photo number 3 is after the fact. That I can say, but photo number 2, I'm not quite sure if that shot was taken before they were in the house. I think so.
Yeah.
I guarantee that. So I don't know that it's deliberately a before and after pair of photographs, but I think it might be.
But if you go even to photo number 5, where it looks like they're doing some sort of interview.
Yes, right.
You can see the difference in his stance, the way he's looking in his face. There is a difference. Hers, she's still cautious. She still has that same kind of withdrawn energy. Like I would tell you, she doesn't like being in the spotlight.
Right. Well, she had her own amount of experiences. They both say they saw a lot of poltergeist activity. I guess the whole family did. Objects moving, as you might have indicated, the doors slamming, things being tossed about. And you mentioned a cross being upside down. They saw a cross turn upside down in front of them. So I don't know how legitimate that is, but that sounds like something that you've heard of and maybe even experienced. I don't know.
Yeah, experienced.
You've seen a cross on a wall turn upside down.
Yep.
Far out. Wow. Okay.
I,
Well,
I could, if you'd like, I could ask someone to do it for you.
yes, I would.
Oh, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah. Careful what you ask for. I know. Okay. Well, Kathy, you've seen her a bit there in photo number 2. And then now if you look at her in photo number 4, can you give us any more information about Kathy and what she might be like experiencing this weird stuff happening in the house?
Well, I still feel the same. Like, I still feel like she's open to it because there's that kind of energy around her. I don't suppose she wrote a book, did she?
I think they were, I think, involved in a lot of writings regarding this.
Okay. Because I feel like in picture number 4, she's more open, more alert. Picture
Okay.
number 5, she looks a little more guarded, and yet it seems after the fact.
Yes, it is, I believe. Yes.
But it's definitely left an impression on her. Do you know this family stayed together?
Yes, I believe they did.
Okay. So their belief in God is probably what got them through this.
Well, I hope something did. I mean, if it's true that they experienced this stuff, and we haven't, we want to discuss that towards the end. But they had, so we're talking 3 weeks of being in the house now. Escalations. I would imagine they're all pretty frantic in their minds. They're supposed to be all panicking and anxious, not sleeping well, feeling and experiencing very bizarre things. So I think that just builds on itself.
Yep.
Not only if it's legitimate or not legitimate, you're going to experience stuff because you're now open to experiencing stuff, and you're now in a physical and mental condition that allows you to, imagine a little more easily.
Well, and then you add on to that they're probably not sleeping properly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So mentally, it's really beginning to take its toll.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, they make it through 28 days, and their last night, which supposedly they refused to discuss in detail because of the horrors that happened to them, they said they were so terrified. Now, I don't know what sorts of demonic forces were in action there, that they were physically attacked, supposedly, and the house seemed to come alive with evil. Now, if that's any scintilla of that true, is the evil coming from Ron Jr., the act he undertook, the 6 acts he undertook? Is the evil something else? Because it wasn't there beforehand. The house had been happily lived in. And it actually doesn't happen again after these people move up. So
it could have been from Ron. It could have been the aftermath. Okay. So yes, it could be from him. It could be from the land, because the land will absorb that kind of evil into it. But I also think by now, their 28-day, you think sleep deprivation, probably not eating properly, that there a lot of what happened towards the end could be not entirely self-inflicted.
okay.
Just the imagination alone.
Right. So
we can scare ourselves, but I'm also saying that I feel like there is some legitimacy to what they have experienced.
okay, good. Well, then that's really what we want to come to the discussion with now. They actually say Kathy levitated out of a bed. They had, some horrendously bizarre experiences. They fled the night of the early hours of January 14th. They just fled from the house. That was it. The whole family packed up and went, left everything behind, and they relocated to California. So you see the picture in photo number 5 of Kathy and George afterwards, and then they're being interviewed. It seems like some television show. They were deeply traumatized by their experiences. They all underwent psychological counseling. The children, of course, I would like to find out what happened to them. I don't know, but they struggled terribly emotionally afterwards. They all maintained the truth of what happened in that house to them during those 28 days. How much of it do you think was really supernatural or spirit or energy beyond the normal plane?
95%.
That much, even though you just admitted that one would be sleep deprived,
Yep.
anxious, not eating, not comfortable. That's only a 5% role.
Yep.
So you're saying that 112 Ocean Avenue at that time in 1975 was a haunted, possessed, nasty, evil house.
Haunted, possessed. Maybe not so much that it's evil, but it's trying to express itself and it's coming across that way.
Okay, and what is trying, like, let's talk just legitimate, let's just talk a little bit about this energy. We have, as you said, 6 individuals who were murdered, so we've got their energies. We've got the crazy whatever fellow Ron himself who undertook the murders. Do they all combine? Do they separate? Is one more powerful than the other? Is it all
No,
drawn?
it would be a collective energy. Okay, because they were all killed basically pretty close together.
Okay.
I mean, they could separate because I can hear the young girl in my head a lot. So I would think she might be, and the little boy, John. I think they're more that playful energy I'm looking for inside the house. The other ones are more like I should have been more active, more productive, more something. So then that builds and becomes like anger.
Okay.
So yeah, I would tell you what they experience legitimately. The real portion is the 95. There's 5% that I'm allowing to sway either way because, again, I've seen where this stuff can go. Sometimes we just get so scared that everything becomes real.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, but you're saying 95% of it was real.
Yes.
Legitimately coming from this swirl of energy, the combination of the 6, some of them not being so young they didn't recognize it, but like the teens frustrated that they didn't have a life, the parents, I guess, and then you have Ron Jr. being crazy in his energy and whatever he was experiencing and hearing as well. So that's all kind of bound together. And do they mean to bind it together, that it's just they don't have a choice?
I think they were on the right path when they had the priest come in and do the clearing of the house. Maybe he just did it his regular way, and maybe he didn't think to ask the spirits to leave, to move on to their destiny. But I feel that I don't think this house wanted them. And I think it's because of the number of children and because the children were so similar in looks. I don't think the house wanted them.
When you say the house, are you talking about the energies?
Yes. Because maybe the house was actually trying to protect them by scaring them off. Because you think of it, they had her 3. She had 3 prior, then the 2 they had. There's 5 children.
You're talking about the original children.
No, I'm talking about the second group of children.
They only had 3. They had the 2 boys, the Lutzes. There's only 3 children in the Lutz family.
Why do I think there were 5?
Well, there were 5 in the original family
No.
of the Theos.
Yeah, I know that, but I feel like even with the Luxes, they had 5 children.
No, they had 3.
Huh. Okay.
Okay, that's okay. Afterwards, there are paranormal investigations. I mean, of course, it became a big deal, right? I mean, this Amityville Horror just took on a world of its own. But fairly quickly afterwards, they had some pretty famous people called Ed and Lorraine Warren, famous like types, clairvoyants or whatever, and they went into the house and conducted a seance, or I believe, and reviewed the house and stuff. And they came out with a photograph, and I sent it to you late. I just found it. Again, I can't show this photograph to our But
Neither
have a look.
oh, wait a
It's
minute.
photo-
I can look on my phone.
Yeah, okay. Have a look at it because they claim this photograph is claimed as one of the most famous photographs of a spirit.
Was that the one that says last pick?
Yeah. They say that the house was haunted by a powerful and sinister force. I'm wondering if it's a combined force, but I'd like you to see that photograph and see what you think. And yes, listeners, please, viewers, look up the Amityville Horror, the ghostly child photo from the Warrens, and you'll see it on the internet.
So are they talking about the one bedroom?
There's a shot of a staircase.
Yeah.
Okay, and
And
there's a face. Yes, on the left-hand side, there's a face at the top of the sort of staircase bar itself. The actual staircase railing.
Do they mean like the picture that's on the wall, or are they talking?
Not the picture on the wall. Go to the left where the doorway is.
Okay, yeah, there.
There's a little pair of eyes. There's a glowing pair of white eyes and a face.
Glowing pair of white eyes.
And a face. Can you show me the picture?
Okay, just a minute. Is it this one?
Exactly. So in the middle ground, but on the far left.
Over here.
Exactly. Have a look at that area very closely. That's supposedly a face of a boy.
Well, color me blonde. I'm going to be blind here.
Can't see it?
No. Maybe I need a different, little farther away. Okay. Did they say where it was?
Yes, go to where the railing meets the door.
Right there.
Exactly. That's supposedly, yeah. If you back it up a bit so you're zoomed out, you should get a sense of a head and a pair of white eyes. This is what they claim. I mean, I'm not saying it's anything, but a mistake in the photograph. Okay.
But I will say this. You look at this. Look where the little girl got the piggy from.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. It does look sort of pig-like, doesn't it?
Yes.
Good point.
Now, I will agree there is some energy in that room.
Okay.
Okay, but I don't see the eyes or the head. I see a weird thing where maybe the railing was, unless that's what they're referring to.
That kind of that area in the photograph. Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me see if I can bring it up on this computer. Something that, nope. Just a minute.
Well, you could actually just try searching.
Yeah.
You want to be faster,
Okay.
Google searching. So they are Ed and Lorraine Warren, Warren.
Yeah.
Amityville ghost child photo.
There it is.
Okay, maybe get a better picture of it there.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, yeah. So what do you think?
Oh, very likely is. That's funny. In the small one, it doesn't look like, oh, that's a lion, but on the wall. But yeah, okay. It is a little boy.
Do you buy it as a ghost?
I definitely buy the energy. And since my hair is standing up on the back of my neck, yeah, I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Well, some say
That's
is
funny.
young boy John, who was murdered by his brother. Some say.
Because in this picture, when I look at it, it just, okay, now I can see them.
Probably it's just too small on your phone.
No, now that I know what I'm looking at, I can see it.
Okay, yeah, that's not surprising. It's not a very clear photograph, but this is theoretically a ghost from that house as part of the seance that the Warrens had after the fact.
I could see that.
Yeah. So since the Lutzes have moved out, and I want you to look at photograph number 6, you'll see, we're out of order here, but that's the way it is. You'll see what the house looks like now.
Yeah, I know they changed the windows up top.
I think that was a smart idea. Take out those eyes and
Yeah.
put in normal arched windows, change the color. So it's totally different.
Yeah.
And I think it even has a different street number.
Does it? I didn't notice that.
I don't know if you can see it, but I believe the town, gave them a different street number. So people come there to see the house, but it is very different. And ever since the Lutzes moved out, not a peep, not a murmur, not a pig, not anything. So what does that say?
Well, that says maybe the seance worked and they moved the people on.
You think? Or does it say it was a complete and utter fraud?
I don't think it was.
You don't? You
No.
give the some legitimacy, do you?
I do. I don't think it was a fraud.
Okay, well, it certainly spun off, like 24 movies and 24 books about the
No
Amityville
kidding.
Horror, onward and onward and onward. So one way or another, it obviously was a very terrifying 28 days for the family. No matter
Yes.
whether it was real or imagined or a combination. I guess it was a combination from your perspective. Pretty
It was.
amazing.
Yep.
Okay, well, there you go. We have now visited the Amityville Horror Massacre and the Amityville Horror 28 Days in Hell.
Yeah.
What do you think
And
of that?
this is not one place I want to go and find out if it's true.
You do not?
No,
Usually you want to go.
I know, but see, that's why I think there's validity to it, because the place, when I look at it, scares me.
Well, if it scares you, I'm not going anywhere near it, I'll tell you that.
Like why borrow trouble?
Yes. Okay, well, we won't go to 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville. Okay,
Okay.
thanks for the visit to that exact house tonight. Twice, Darcy. Appreciate
All
it.
right.
All right.
Well, it was definitely an experience.
It was interesting. Appreciate you're always able and open to new ideas and to the new format. We'll have to discuss whether we like it or not, but it was a nice way. It was a different way of doing it, and celebrating our 50th episode, had to do something different.
Yes, we did.
Thank you for listening to Seeing Dead People, where goosebumps are guaranteed. We would love to hear from you with questions for Darcy about her psychic process or suggestions for other mystifying situations you would like us to investigate. Please shoot us an email to info@radiosydney.ca with Seeing Dead People in the subject line. New episodes air on our website, radiosydney.ca, on the first Saturday of every month. Episodes repeat Saturday nights at 8 p.m. and Sunday mornings at 10 a.m., both Pacific time. All episodes are available as downloadable podcasts at our website or on our YouTube channel, Nicola Furlong Mysteries. I'm Dorian Mortis, weirdly keen on seeing dead people.
It's amazing.
This has been a presentation of Radio Sydney.